weekly bonus videos, early access, chat with me on Discord, Q&As, and you get to lord it over me that you're keeping this channel alive. Consider becoming one of these legends when you support the habit at patreon.com/doseofbuckley. I bet Gen Z just can't wait until Gen Alpha, which, given what's going on in the world these days, should maybe be called Gen Omega, reaches a certain age so that they can start blaming them for all of society's ills. Just as millennials blame Gen Z for killing off printers and alcohol sales, and Gen X blame millennials for killing off tuna and doorbells. What a fucking world we live in these days. No more doorbells or printers? They don't exist anymore. Thanks, kids. But anyway, the oldest members of Gen Alpha are like 13, and the youngest were literally born today. So, it's probably a little early to put, say, the death of the music industry on their underdeveloped shoulders. In a very restrained moment, The Guardian stopped short of blaming anyone in particular in their article titled, "The Song of the Summer is Nothing? Why 2025's charts are so stale." It starts out by talking about Shaboozey's A Bar song and how, as of the date the article was published, it was number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 in July of 2025. The song first hit the charts 16 months ago, in the spring of 2024. It was number 2 on the year-end Hot 100 for 2024. And there's actually a good chance it'll make the top 10 for the 2025 edition. Same with Teddy Swim's Lose Control, also still in the top 10, and also a contender for the year-end list. It was the number 1 song of 2024. It goes on to say that 2025 has produced the fewest new hit songs in US history, and says that new music consumption in general is down 3% this year versus last year. But this isn't that new of a trend. In fact, I wrote an article about this nearly 10 years ago. I'll forgive you if you haven't kept up with every little side project I've ever done, but I wrote probably a dozen or so columns for Digital Music News, including this one, which they titled, "Turns Out Millennials Have Amazing Musical Attention Spans," where I made an argument that older generations got bored with songs much quicker than the kids, so 18 to 20-somethings, of 2016. Now, some spoil sport will suggest that it's the way that the charts are calculated now, or the way that music is consumed. People bought physical singles, or radio airplay had a heavier calculation, so it wasn't taking into account people streaming the same song 1,000 times. You just bought it once, and even if you did listen to it 1,000 times over the next 6 months, that didn't count for the charts. Someone will suggest that, so sorry I beat you to it. But I'm one of 22 people who still listens to the radio. And let me tell you, it's also fucking stale as hell, compared to 30, 40 years ago, when that factored very heavily into the charts, and they were constantly adding new songs to their rotation. In 1985, 113 songs were top 10 hits. In 1975, 10 years before that, 117 songs reached that same peak. In both cases, very few songs stuck around for more than a couple weeks. 3 songs managed to hang on for 10 weeks in 1975, and in 1985, only 1 song made it to double digits. The Dionne Warwick Sap Fest, That's What Friends Are For. And it wasn't for a lack of huge songs. In fact, maybe that was the problem. Too many bangers back then? You be the judge. 1985's top 10 included Wham's Careless Whisper, Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA, Madonna's Material Girl and Like a Virgin, Dire Straits' Money for Nothing, Katrina and the Waves' Walking on Sunshine, Frankie Goes to Hollywood's Relax, that fucking Breakfast Club song from Simple Minds, Starship's We Built This City, often considered one of the worst songs of the decade, if not all time, the extremely homoerotic undertones of Mick Jagger and David Bowie covering Dancing in the Street, the theme from Beverly Hills Cop that would later become the song everyone thinks was created by Crazy Frog. It just keeps fucking going. Not a single song released this year will have anywhere close to a legacy, positive or negative, that those songs have. In 40 years, no one is gonna give 2 shits about Sabrina Carpenter's pinup girl on a fighter jet looking ass. A faded memory like your granddad trying to remember what he had for breakfast this morning. In comparison, so far in 2025, 43 songs have made it into the top 10, with really only 4 months left before Mariah and company fuck up the charts, like they do every Christmas. 16 of those have spent more than 10 weeks in the top 10, not just on the charts, but in the top 10. But the part that's more relevant, the part that they're talking about when they say that the charts are stale, 38% of those songs are from 2024 or earlier. 38%! Actually more. This chart is trying to claim that Pink Pony Club and Anxiety are 2025 songs. Now, that percentage should decrease throughout the rest of the year, presumably, as new songs make their way up the charts. But again, we're into August now. I'll release this video in August, right? And to answer the Guardian's question, it's looking like Billboard's Song of the Summer is going to be Alex Warren's Ordinary, a song that, to be fair, was released in 2025, but just barely, back in February. An extremely boring chamber pop song. Just what everyone should be bumping during their backyard barbecues and beach parties this summer. Fucking hell, I didn't realize Xanax was a party drug now. And so, were more songs just released back then? Well, Consequence of Sound reported that, last year, 2024, more songs were released, presumably to Spotify, every single day than the entirety of the year 1989. Now that's a lot of shit shoveled out of people's basements. In 1989, you had to get studio time. You needed a producer, a record deal. Now you can upload your shit to DistroKid. I have a fucking song on Spotify. I recorded the vocals in my closet, and my friend made the beat in his kitchen. But either way, it's not a lack of choice that's resulting in A, so few songs reaching the top 10, and B, so many of them staying there for months at a time. It's clear that modern audiences would prefer to find something they like and play it over and over rather than find something new. If variety is the spice of life, people listening to music right now are saying, "Oh, just bland, unseasoned potato salad for me, and I'll have it every day." And what's crazier is, if Billboard still had the same restrictions it had in 1985, there might be even fewer new songs on the Hot 100 in general. In the olden days, the dark times when REO speedwagons ruled the airwaves, a song could only chart if it was classified as an official single. So now, when Morgan Wallen releases a 37-song album and 10 of them wind up on the charts, that's only possible because they changed the rules. Incredibly likely that a bunch of old shit would linger even longer on those charts if they weren't being knocked off by, say, an entire Justin Bieber album the week it's released. Which maybe just goes to show how fucking weak the rest of the music industry is right now. Imagine your song not doing as well as something called Glory Voice Memo, a 1-minute, 25-second piece of album filler. If I'm Travis Scott and Glorilla, thank fuck I'm not, I'd be feeling as crushed as an Astroworld attendee that a voice memo, clearly recorded on a phone mic, beat my professionally produced song by 10 spots in my debut week. But maybe we've simply peaked. We've made the best music possible, right? Audiences have spoken. If Shaboozey's A Bar song sat in the top 10 for 60 weeks, Lady Gaga's closing in on 50, Kendrick and SZA went over 30, and Ordinary was number 1 for 7 weeks, but Zeppelin's Good Times, Bad Times couldn't even get past number 80, Michael Jackson's Beat It only stayed at number 1 for 3 weeks, and Radiohead's Karma Police didn't even chart in the US? Well then clearly, those are just inferior songs that everyone got sick of quicker. So, we can pack it up. No need to make anything else. You hear that, Ed Sheeran, Nicki, Taylor, Sabrina, Chappell? Shut it all down. Game's over. Everyone's fine with just listening to what's already been released. Of course, I got a couple more options for you. Option B is that we now have to admit that it wasn't Gen Z with severe ADHD who absolutely needed some brand new dopamine hit every 5 minutes, but maybe older generations were worse. Again, 113 songs, all qualified singles, top 10 hits in 1985, all of them knocked off the chart within weeks by the next big flavor of the week. Gen X needed a constant flow of new songs to keep their coke-addled minds occupied. Meanwhile, Gen Z's antidepressant-soaked brains are like, let's hear Teddy Swims on repeat for the 70th week in a row. And I guess we could say that option C is, today's music is so shitty, people would prefer to listen to Benson Boone for the 1000th time than listen to whatever dog leavings that Ariana Grande is trying to plop out in 2025. Tell you what, you go ahead and pick whichever one of those explanations that makes you feel the best about yourself. That's how we do it in 2025, regardless of generation, right? But before I go, I want to reassure you of something. If you listened to all of this and thought, oh shit, if so little new music is charting, it's all stale shit from last year, is Buckley going to be able to even do a worst songs of 2025? Is it just going to be a repeat of last year's video? Well, don't you worry about that. A 56-year-old Will Smith basically put out a Fresh Prince song for TikTok, Rihanna came out of musical retirement for the Smurfs movie, and Kanye rapped about sucking off his cousin when they were kids. I think we'll be just fine for December.